Right now, we're going to welcome in a guest for a first-time appearance on Robin Hood Radio, and we are going to set up monthly, appearances for this person to join us and keep us informed about what's going on in Region 1, your grammar schools, and, of course, Housatonic Valley Regional High School. We welcome in the Superintendent, Lisa Carter. Lisa, good morning, and thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Marshall, and thank you for having me with you this morning.
You know, it must be an exciting time for you and the other administrative team at Housatonic Valley Regional High School that have all been appointed right now, going into a school year that you are right in between the school year that ended up with distance learning, also now the questions of the pandemic and more. So I wish you all the best of luck dealing with obviously what are going to be a lot of instantaneous decisions and reactions when the state gets involved. So it must be an interesting time and a great time to be a superintendent, but what a kickoff for you to become superintendent.
Well, it certainly is a very challenging and interesting time to be doing that, but I have to say that we are all very fortunate in Region 1 that we have an extremely capable group of educators. I couldn't be luckier to be working with a stronger team right now. Administrators, teachers, paraprofessionals, staff, custodians, everybody is really doing their part to really work together and make sure that each step of the way we're being very careful, both in terms of protecting health and then in terms of providing a high-quality educational experience for our students. And I also have to thank our parents and community members who have been so supportive and are not afraid to reach out to say, this is working, this isn't working. I think it does truly take a village, and we have a very strong one.
All right, so now that we get on past it, you'll have time to sit back and enjoy becoming superintendent sooner or later. But let's get on to the task at hand, and that is obviously not only dealing with the reopening of the schools here at Region 1 and the teachers and the staff and everything like that, but also the interaction with the state of Connecticut, because the governor, when he announced that schools would reopen, our congressperson, Johanna Hayes, basically said, well, let's put the brakes on here for a second and see what the real plan is going to look like. That's where I really feel sorry for you as administrators, because the state is saying what they want to do and giving an outline, basically, what they want to do, but there's nothing really set in stone, and that must be just make you a little nervous in what has to lie ahead.
Well, I think that's well said. I'm not sure that we're nervous about the situation in general, not so much as in terms of what the state has recommended. And I think that our Representative Hayes spoke straight from her heart and her concern about how vague some of the guidelines appear. And I think she then subsequently modified her response to say, it's not that I don't want schools to open, but we just want everybody to understand that this has never been done before. And she's speaking out of concern, and I think justifiably so, around some of the vagueness in terms of, what the responsibilities of teachers are going to be, what the responsibilities of the school system is going to be in terms of, the different learning modalities, in class, virtual, distance learning, those kinds of things. And so I think she is speaking most definitely for her constituents. On the flip side of that, and now having been in several meetings with the commissioner and the governor, I do know that they have done a tremendous amount of research and consulting with epidemiologists. They consulted with thousands of parents, thousands of educators, thousands of community members. They used a tool called Poll Everywhere, I think, where they were able to get feedback from a lot of different people in a very short period of time, and then spend a lot of time really plowing through that data to understand how they should open. And they also worked very closely with the American Pediatric Association information to say that it's much better for our students from a social and emotional and developmental perspective to be in school than not. However, when you really look at the span of differences in our 169 school districts, it was very difficult for them to come up with one plan, especially given that we have always been a local control state. And in Region 1, especially, we know how important it is for us to have control over what it is that we're doing. So when they put all of that together, they came up with the best set of guidelines that they possibly felt they could deliver that said these are the main things that you have to pay attention to from a public health and safety perspective. Here are the main things we would like you to pay attention to in terms of we understand that it's good for all students to be back in school. Here are the main things we need you to pay attention to in terms of this is what we would like to see from a quality educational program. Here are the main things we would like you to pay attention to in terms of taking care of your facilities. And then what they have said to us is we have to rely on your local expertise in order to come together and decide how to do this. And an essential part of the planning is that each district is expected to have a reopening committee that consists of educators, community members, some parents, and of course local health experts and such, in order to make sure that what we're doing within the guidelines of those plans are in fact best for our community.
You know, it's interesting, as someone who attended Housatonic Valley Regional High School, I think one of the main points, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, as an administrator and as the nice thing about you being a superintendent is not only have you been in the superintendent's and the assistant superintendent's position, but you've also been a teacher in Region 1, which is really, really important to get to know right down to the basics. And what's interesting to me is how the school portion of this is going to go along with the socialization part of it, which is so important, especially to freshmen and sophomores as they enter the high school and really learn to adapt and interact with kids and students from other towns. I mean, the social portion of the high school is an important part that goes along with the educational part. That's
correct. Yes. And so the challenge for us is to be able to mind all of the health and safety issues that have been placed in front of us in terms of this public health crisis, but then to also ensure that we're building healthy and robust classroom communities within those guidelines. And I think that certainly from conversations with Mr. Shriver and Mr. Sheeby, the principal and the assistant principal, they're working with their staff and with the school counselors to talk about how important that is. And we do understand that we are going to have students in the classroom, but we also have students who may not be able to come to school for a variety of reasons. And so we're working very hard to identify digital tools that are going to allow for some sort of building of classroom communities and paying attention to those social emotional needs of our adolescents, and for all of our students actually throughout from K through 12. But you're right in identifying them as extremely social aspects of really students from 6th grade up through 12th grade. Ensuring that we can provide for those social emotional needs in addition to the educational needs. And I can't say much more about that because we're very much in the planning stages right now. Well, I just wanted to point that out to people that this is not a discussion about what their actual planning is, because it's in the process of doing it. But I wanted to introduce people to you on a broader scale, and also get to understand some of the problems that lie ahead, not only for you as administrators and for students and for teachers and for everybody that works in the region, but for the parents and grandparents and the students themselves. It was an interesting an abrupt end to last year, and I think this year is a very important year in the lives of not only the students but also the teachers and you as administrators, getting back into the new world, and it is a new world for everybody in one way or another, of education. And we're going to do monthly chats with Lisa through the school year when she has the time, just to keep you folks abreast of what's going on. And Lisa, I really appreciate you joining us this morning, and best of luck through captaining the ship through some turbulent waters in the beginning. I know you'll be successful. The high school's got a proud tradition, and I'm sure you're going to go back to that tradition. Oh, absolutely, Marshall. And I want to thank you. I do want to let everybody who's listening know that our reopening committee meetings are public meetings, that the meeting agendas are posted. I don't have a schedule for them yet because today is really our big organizational meeting, but we do have a meeting at 4:30 this afternoon that is accessible by Zoom or as a phone-in. So for those people who are really interested in keeping track of our process, they're welcome to observe throughout the next couple of weeks as we make our report, as we make our plan.
And of course, we will have CATV6 there to record these Zoom meetings so people can check in on them. Lisa, good luck, and we'll speak to you a little later.
Okay, thank you, Marshall.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Lisa Carter, Superintendent of Region 1 here in Northwest Connecticut.